I never imagined that my life would take such a dramatic turn. My name is Sarah, and I was fortunate enough to meet the love of my life at a young age. We got married and began our life together in the comfort of my parents' house. Yes, it might seem unconventional, but it was our way of saving money and starting a future together. Living with us was my younger sister, Emily. She had recently turned 21, and since we had no parents, we felt responsible for taking care of her. Little did I know that this arrangement would create friction and test the strength of our family ties. One sunny afternoon, as I was preparing lunch in the cozy kitchen, Alex walked in with a stern expression on his face. He was a man of few words, but his body language spoke volumes. I could tell something was bothering him. "Hey, honey," I greeted him, trying to break the tension. "Is everything all right?" Alex sighed heavily and leaned against the countertop, his gaze fixed on the floor. "Sarah, we need to talk about Emily," he said, his voice laced with frustration. My heart sank as I anticipated the topic of conversation. Emily and Alex had never seen eye to eye, and their constant clashes were putting a strain on our household. "What happened this time?" I asked, bracing myself for the answer. "She's becoming unbearable, Sarah," Alex replied, his voice tinged with irritation. "I can't stand her living under the same roof with us. We need to find a way to make her leave." I stared at him, taken aback by the intensity of his words. I understood that their relationship was strained, but the idea of asking Emily to leave seemed cruel and heartless. She was family, and families stuck together through thick and thin. "But Alex," I pleaded, my voice filled with concern. "She's just a young girl who needs our support. We can't turn our backs on her." He turned to face me, his eyes blazing with frustration. "Sarah, I know she's your sister, but she's driving me insane. We can't have a happy marriage with her around. It's time she starts taking responsibility for her own life." Tears welled up in my eyes as I grappled with the weight of his words. I loved Alex, but I couldn't bear the thought of abandoning my sister, especially when she needed us the most. "I can't just ask her to leave, Alex," I said, my voice trembling. "We made a promise to take care of her, and I won't break that promise. We need to find a way to work things out." He looked at me, his features softening slightly as he realized the pain in my eyes. After a moment of silence, he let out a sigh and nodded. "Okay, Sarah," he said, his voice softer now. "We'll try to find a way, but something needs to change. For the sake of our marriage and our sanity." I reached out and grabbed his hand, offering a small smile. "Thank you, Alex. I know it won't be easy, but we'll find a solution. We always do." Little did I know that the challenges ahead would test our resolve and push us to our limits. Our promising beginning would soon be overshadowed by darkness, forcing us to confront the demons within our own home. My husband Alex had always been a challenging person to deal with. His irascible nature made it difficult for him to get along with others, especially Emily. They seemed to clash at every opportunity, and it made our household feel like a battlefield. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow through the living room windows, tension hung in the air like an invisible veil. Emily and Alex were in the midst of yet another heated argument, their voices rising with each passing second. I stood in the doorway, my heart sinking at the sight before me. It seemed as though their differences had reached a breaking point, and I desperately wanted to find a way to bridge the gap. "Emily, please," I pleaded, my voice tinged with concern. "Try to understand where Alex is coming." She crossed her arms defiantly, her eyes burning with frustration. "I am an adult, Sarah. I shouldn't have to live by his rules. I can make my own decisions." Alex, standing with his arms folded, couldn't contain his anger any longer. "You're acting like a child, Emily," he snapped. "Living under our roof means respecting our boundaries and abiding by our rules. But I'm not a child," Emily retorted, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. "I deserve some freedom and independence." I stepped forward, trying to mediate the situation. "We all need to find a way to coexist peacefully," I said, my voice calm but filled with determination. "Emily, I understand your desire for independence, but we also need to respect Alex's concerns." Emily's eyes filled with tears, and she looked at me, her voice cracking. "Sarah, you don't understand. It feels like I'm suffocating in this house. I love you, but I can't live like this anymore." The weight of her words settled heavily on my shoulders. I loved both my sister and my husband, but finding a balance between their conflicting needs seemed impossible. Our once promising beginning now felt like a fragile web ready to unravel. "Emily," I said, my voice filled with both love and sadness. "We're family. We need to find a way to make this work. Let's sit down and have a calm conversation about our expectations and boundaries. We owe it to each other." There was a moment of silence as Emily and Alex exchanged hesitant glances. Slowly, their anger began to subside, and the realization of the toll their disagreements were taking on our family started to sink in. "Okay," Emily finally conceded, her voice softer now. "Let's talk." As we gathered around the living room, the walls seemed to close in, suffocating us with the weight of unresolved conflicts. But we were determined to find a way forward, to mend the strained relationships and create a harmonious home. Little did we know that the events about to unfold would shake the foundations of our family, pushing us to confront the darkest corners of our lives and forcing us to make choices that would alter our paths forever. As the days passed, the tension in our home seemed to escalate, reaching a crescendo on that fateful evening. The clock ticked closer to 10 o'clock, the time by which Emily was supposed to return home, as per Alex's decree. I paced nervously in the living room, my eyes darting towards the front door with every passing minute. Alex's frustration grew palpable, his impatience bubbling to the surface. "Where is she, Sarah?" he barked, his voice filled with anger. "She knows she's supposed to be back by now." My heart raced as I tried to calm him down. "She's probably just running late, Alex," I offered, my voice filled with concern. "Let's give her some more time." He clenched his fists, his jaw tight with resentment. "No, this has gone on for too long," he growled. "She needs to learn her lesson." I watched helplessly as he stormed towards the front door, determination etched across his face. I knew I had to intervene to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. "Alex, please," I pleaded, my voice trembling with fear. "Let's not confront her like this. It won't solve anything." He turned to face me, his eyes blazing with anger. "She needs to understand that there are consequences for her actions," he spat. "I won't let her walk all over us." Before I could utter another word, the door slammed shut, the echo reverberating through the house. Panic surged through me as I realized the gravity of the situation. I had to protect Emily from Alex's mounting rage, no matter the cost. Half an hour later, Alex called my mom. I couldn't hear what he said, but my mom's face darkened. She silently put the phone on speaker, and at the same moment, screams and thuds came from the phone. Time seemed to stand still as I fumbled for my phone, my hands shaking with a mixture of fear and determination. With trembling fingers, I dialed the emergency number, my voice quivering as I gave them our address and the urgency of the situation. "Please," I implored, tears streaming down my face. "You need to come quickly. My husband, he's out of control." The voice on the other end reassured me, promising help was on the way. But the minutes that followed felt like an eternity, my heart pounding in my chest as I anxiously awaited their arrival. Finally, the sound of sirens pierced through the night, the flashing lights casting an eerie glow on our quiet suburban street. Relief washed over me as I realized that help had arrived, that Emily would be safe. As I stood on the porch, my gaze fixed on the approaching police cars, I couldn't help but feel a sense of guilt. Guilt for not being able to protect Emily from the storm that had engulfed our lives. Guilt for allowing the situation to escalate to this point. But deep down, I knew that I had made the right choice. The choice to put Emily's safety above all else, to break the cycle of violence and protect our family from the darkness that threatened to consume us. Little did I know that this would be the turning point. The moment that shattered the illusions of a promising beginning and forced us to confront the harsh reality that lay beneath the surface. The battle for our family's well-being had just begun, and we were about to face challenges that would test our strength, resilience, and love in ways we never could have imagined. The aftermath of that tumultuous night left our family reeling, with emotions running high and a lingering sense of unease in the air. The repercussions of Alex's explosive outburst reverberated through the walls of our once peaceful home. Confrontation. A few hours after the chaos had subsided, my phone rang and I anxiously answered, hoping to hear Emily's voice on the other end. It was her. The tremor in her voice was unmistakable. "Yes, Sarah," she stammered, her words punctuated by shallow breaths. "I need to tell you what happened." My heart sank. and I held my breath, preparing myself for the painful truth that awaited. Alex, he stormed into the house where I was staying, Emily continued, her voice filled with both fear and anger. He started yelling at everyone, blaming me for not coming home on time. And then he attacked me, Sarah, with his fists. My hand flew to my mouth in horror, tears streaming down my face. The reality of the abuse Emily had endured struck me like a physical blow. How could the man I loved become a monster capable of such violence? "Oh, Emily," I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. "I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I should have protected you." She sniffled on the other end of the line, her voice shaking. "It's not your fault, Sarah. None of us could have predicted this. Just promise me you'll stay safe." My mind raced with conflicting emotions, but a newfound resolve surged within me. No longer would I be a passive bystander. It was time to take control of our lives and ensure our safety. "I promise, Emily," I vowed, my voice filled with determination. "We will get through this together. I won't let anyone hurt us anymore." And with those words, a flicker of hope ignited within me. I knew that our journey toward healing would be long and arduous, but the bond between Emily and me would serve as an unbreakable anchor. These days turned into weeks, and the wheels of justice began to turn. Alex's actions could not go unpunished, and the legal system took its course. His trial loomed ahead, and the weight of his abusive behavior would finally be addressed in the eyes of the law. The day of the trial arrived, and with it, a mix of anticipation, anxiety, and a renewed sense of determination. We were prepared to face the man who had caused us so much pain, to confront him in the courtroom and seek justice for the wounds he had inflicted upon our lives. As we sat in the solemn courtroom, the air thick with tension, I could feel the weight of the proceedings bearing down on me. Emily sat beside me, her grip on my hand providing solace in the midst of the storm. The prosecution presented a compelling case, painting a vivid picture of the abuse Emily had endured at the hands of her brother-in-law. Witness testimonies, medical reports, and photographs laid bare the extent of the physical and emotional trauma she had suffered. Then came the moment when Emily took the stand, her voice steady but filled with the pain of her experience. The room fell silent as she recounted the events that led to that fateful night, her words piercing through the hearts of those present. "Your Honor," she began, her voice carrying a mixture of strength and vulnerability, "I never thought I would find myself here, testifying against someone I once loved. But the truth is, love shouldn't hurt like this. No one should have to endure the fear and pain that I went through." The defense lawyer attempted to undermine her testimony, painting a distorted picture of the events and attempting to cast doubt on her credibility. But Emily stood firm, her determination shining through. As the trial continued, the weight of the evidence stacked against Alex became undeniable. The jury deliberated, and it seemed like an eternity as we awaited their decision. Finally, the moment arrived. The judge's voice filled the courtroom as he announced the verdict. "Guilty?" The relief that washed over us was palpable, a collective exhale in the face of justice served. Outside the courtroom, the media buzzed, hungry for a story of triumph over adversity. Emily and I stood together, facing a barrage of questions, determined to use our voices to shed light on the realities of domestic violence. When asked how we felt about the outcome, Emily's response rang out, her voice steady and unwavering. "This trial was not just about seeking justice for myself," she said, her eyes filled with determination. "It was about shining a light on the darkness that so many others face. I hope that our story inspires change and empowers others to break free from the cycle of abuse." In the aftermath of the trial, we took a moment to breathe, to absorb the reality of the verdict and what it meant for our lives moving forward. The prison sentence handed down to Alex brought a sense of closure, a small victory in our quest for healing and safety. But we knew that our journey was far from over. The trial was just one chapter in our story, a pivotal moment that allowed us to reclaim our power and shed the weight of victimhood. As we walked away from the courthouse hand in hand, Emily turned to me, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Sarah, we did it," she whispered. "We fought for our lives, and we won. Now we can build a future free from fear." I smiled, a mix of emotions washing over me. "Yes, Emily," I replied, my voice filled with determination. "We have reclaimed our lives, and now we can move forward, stronger than ever. Together, we'll heal, we'll thrive, and we'll ensure that our voices are heard." And so the trial marked a turning point in our journey, a testament to our resilience and a stepping stone towards a future where the wounds of the past would no longer define us. We were survivors, warriors who refused to be silenced, and we were ready to face the world with renewed strength and hope. The trial marked the end of one chapter in our lives, and as the dust settled, we embraced the opportunity for a fresh start, a chance to rebuild and find solace in a future free from the shadow of abuse. With a renewed sense of purpose, Emily and I set out to create a new beginning for ourselves. We found a small, cozy apartment that became our sanctuary, a place where healing could take root and where we could nurture our newfound independence. The walls echoed with laughter, and the rooms overflowed with the warmth of sisterhood. One evening, as we sat on our balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky with vibrant hues, Emily turned to me, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Sarah, do you ever think about what could have been?" She asked, her voice tinged with both sadness and I paused for a moment, allowing the weight of her words to sink in. Sometimes I replied softly, "But dwelling on the past won't change it. What matters is that we have the opportunity to create a different future, a future where love, respect, and safety prevail." She smiled, a flicker of light returning to her eyes. "You're right, Sarah. We have the power to break free from the cycle that consumed our lives. And not just for ourselves, but for others who may be trapped in similar situations." As the days turned into weeks, we dedicated ourselves to raising awareness about domestic violence. We joined support groups, shared our stories, and offered a helping hand to those who needed it most. Through speaking engagements and advocacy work, we became beacons of hope, lighting the way for others to escape the darkness and find their own paths to healing. In the process, we built a community of survivors, united in our shared experiences and collective strength. Together, we lifted each other up, reminding ourselves that we were not defined by our past, but rather by our resilience and the determination to create a brighter future. One evening, at a support group meeting, I listened as a fellow survivor shared her journey of overcoming abuse. Her words resonated deeply within me, and I knew it was time to take a step further. "Thank you for sharing your story," I said, standing up with a newfound resolve. "We are all warriors, and our voices hold immense power. It's time we use that power to bring about real change." The room filled with applause and supportive murmurs, igniting a fire within me. Emily stood beside me, her eyes sparkling with pride. "We've come so far," she said, her voice filled with determination. "And now we have the chance to make a difference in the lives of others. Let's seize it." Together, we founded a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising awareness, providing support, and advocating for survivors of domestic violence. We offered counseling services, legal assistance, and educational programs, working tirelessly to break the cycle of abuse within our community. As time passed, our organization grew, touching the lives of countless individuals. The pain of our past fueled our determination to create a future where no one would suffer in silence, where love and respect would be the foundations of every relationship. In the midst of our advocacy work, we found our own healing. The scars remained a reminder of our strength, but they no longer defined us. We embraced a newfound sense of joy and self-discovery, embracing opportunities for growth and embracing the beauty of life's small pleasures. And so, as we walked hand in hand, gazing at the horizon of endless possibilities, we knew that our journey was far from over. We had transformed our pain into purpose, our past into a source of empowerment. With hearts full of compassion and spirits aflame with resilience, we embraced our new beginning, ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that together, we were unstoppable.